Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into our latest Star Wars video. So Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy has been talking about the future of Star Wars during Star Wars Celebration. She's done a sit-down interview with Hollywood Reporter. We're at HollywoodReporter.com right now. I'll leave a link to this article in the description at YouTube. So Kathleen has been talking about what's going to be coming up after the Rise of Skywalker concludes the Star Wars saga, at least for the time being. They keep saying that Rise of Skywalker will be the end of the Star Wars saga, the Skywalker Saga, if you like, episodes 1 to 9. I still think that one day in the future there'll be episodes 10, 11 and 12 with that. But for the time being, as far as we know, Rise of Skywalker is going to be the end of the Skywalker Star Wars saga, but not the end of Star Wars. So Kathleen's been talking about what's coming up or what they're thinking about planning. We know got the D.B, the Benioff and Weiss trilogy coming up. They're the Game of Thrones guys. But she's mentioned Rian Johnson and his movies as well. So I'll get on the article very shortly for you. Just to say that if you're enjoying the Star Wars content on this channel, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep bringing you more Star Wars content. Alright, so at HollywoodReporter.com, and the headline is Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy on planning next 10 years of Star Wars films. So let's see what Kathleen has to say, shall we? The producer is talking with Rian Johnson and Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss to discuss the future. In quotes, we are looking at the next saga. Let's carry on. It's the end of an era and a saga, as the teaser trailer for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker promises. The December 20th movie will bring a piece of cinema history to a close, according to Lucasfilm's President Kathleen Kennedy. That's been the plan all along. So she says, we knew we were going to close this up. We knew that even before we started The Force Awakens, Kennedy told The Hollywood Reporter on Friday at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. Disney CEO Bob Iger has spoken about Episode 9 being the final Star Wars film for some time, while the company focuses on small-screen efforts The Mandalorian from Jon Favreau, as well as an untitled Rogue One prequel starring Diego Luna. But Kennedy is already planning plenty of big-screen adventures to come. So it goes on. She says, we are looking at the next saga. We are not just looking at another trilogy. We're looking at the next 10 years or more, Kennedy said. Star Wars The Last Jedi writer and director Rian Johnson is developing a trilogy of films, while Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are crafting their own trilogy. Kathleen says, this movie is the culmination of the Skywalker Saga, but it's by no means the culmination of Star Wars, said Kennedy. I'm sitting down now with Dan Weiss and David Benioff and Rian Johnson. We're all sitting down to talk about where we go next. We've had conversations about what the possibilities might be, but now we're locking it down. This summit is on the calendar for next month, Kennedy said. So that's going to be May. But she's going to have a sit down with the Benioff and Weiss duo and Rian Johnson. And then he goes on a little bit more about the Last Jedi. So the Rise of Skywalker, I should say. So Rise of Skywalker director J.J. Abrams came into a project after the September 2017 exit of Colin Trevorrow. For him, it was a chance to complete the journey. He started with 2015's Force Awakens, and so he goes on and talks about the Rise of Skywalker and interviews with cast and crew and so on. So I think we'll leave the article there. We may come back to it in a future video, see what J.J. Abrams and the cast of the Rise of Skywalker had to say about the Rise of Skywalker as well. But let's focus on what Kathleen is saying about the future of Star Wars. So to me, it sounds rather sketchy, I have to say. It looks like the Benioff and Weiss thing is going to happen. They're going to produce their trilogy, or maybe it'll be a bit more than a trilogy. She's talking about 10 years worth of a new saga. Now, how does Rian Johnson and his trilogy fit into that? That all looks rather sketchy. It seems like Rian Johnson's trilogy is kind of like being brought in with the Game of Thrones guys trilogy, Benioff and Weiss. Seems like there could be some sort of tie-in going on there. Or maybe Benioff and Weiss will oversee Rian Johnson's trilogy. So maybe what's going to happen, because Rian Johnson, of course, has caused a lot of ire among Star Wars fans. It might be that he is still going to get to do his movies, but he's going to have the Benioff and Weiss duo sort of producing and overseeing what he's doing. I wonder whether there's going to be conditions attached to Rian's next trilogy. I hope that Rian doesn't get involved with the Benioff and Weiss trilogy, though, I have to say. I want them to do their own thing. I don't want Kathleen Kennedy and her entourage and or Rian Johnson coming in and affecting what they're doing. I want them to be given the opportunity to tell their story. Hopefully Knights of the Old Republic, that kind of era. So I really don't want Kathy or Rian or any of the other entourage to impact on the Game of Thrones trilogy. But I just wonder, as she's talking about Benioff and Weiss and Rian Johnson all getting together for a sit-down and discuss what's going to happen next month, I just wonder whether Rian is going to have conditions attached to his work, whether he's going to have the Benioff and Weiss duo producing or somehow overseeing what he's doing, whether Disney doesn't really want to risk an entire trilogy with Rian Johnson on his own. Makes you wonder what's going to happen there. But it's quite an interesting interview. It certainly looks like Kathleen has plans for the future of Star Wars. I'll be surprised if she's there to oversee them all. Certainly she's going to be there for the next year or so, but I would think they'll be moving her along the Disney chain before too much long. She's been there since 2012, so she had a very good run. She's got another year or two to go, so she's probably in the end going to do at least sort of 9 years, maybe 10, before she's moved along. But I think she will be moved along within the next sort of couple of years, something like that. So we'll see what happens, but certainly it looks like Kathy has things mapped out. Although, as I say, it does sound rather sketchy, doesn't it? It all sounds rather up in the air kind of thing. She's talking about having a sit-down, planning out what they're going to do. Obviously, they want to carry Star Wars on as an IP, but where that's going and how the Benioff and Weiss trilogy fits in, how the Rian Johnson trilogy fits in, I think you have to wait and see where that's going. I did get the chance to see some of the Episode 9 panel from Friday at Star Wars Celebration. It's all on YouTube at Star Wars is on Star Wars YouTube channel. I thought Kathy seemed really a little bit subdued. I thought she seemed pretty nervous. She seemed rather sheepish, I thought, especially early on. She did get into a stride when they started bringing out all of the cast. But when it's just her and J.J. Abrams at the start for the first of 20 minutes, I thought she seemed rather sheepish. Had a good response though from the fans, which she was always going to get. They're never going to be nasty to her at Star Wars Celebration. She's not that kind of them. But I think she knows that she's upset a lot of people with The Last Jedi. I think they're aware how divisive that film has been. And I mean, as I've talked about when the trailer dropped and the title for The Rise of Skywalker was revealed. I mean, they're going out of their way, and they can't go any further, really, in trying to bring the fans back on board. That trailer just hits and hits and hits over the head that Luke is going to be back. Look, guys, we've listened. We know you're upset what we did with Luke. He is coming back. I mean, I couldn't be any clearer about that within the trailer. It starts with Luke, it ends with Luke, and we've got the title, The Rise of Skywalker, very much hinting at what could be a return or a resurrection even of Luke Skywalker. So they couldn't go any further really in trying to put the message out there that they've heard what the fans had to say about The Last Jedi, and they're going to be doing something about it in The Rise of Skywalker. But, so I thought she seemed a bit sheepish, I thought she seemed a bit subdued. I think she had her wings clipped, but she's still there for the next year or two. And she's got these plans in the pipeline. We'll see what happens. If they do try to bring conditions to Rian Johnson's trilogy, if they try to bring Benioff and Weiss in as an overseer of what Rian wants to do, I wonder whether Rian might step away from it, might step away from the project. I wouldn't totally rule that out. So he's not let go, he's not fired by Kathleen and Disney, but his position is kind of like made a little bit untenable by the conditions that they're bringing in. I just wonder. But we shall see what happens. As I say, they're going to have this sit-down. Kathy says they're going to have this sit-down next month in May and discuss the future. So we shall see what happens in there. I don't want Rian doing another Star Wars film. I'll lay my cards on the table with that. I think he's proven to be too divisive among the fans. He wanted to divide the fans with The Last Jedi. He set out to divide the fans. He wanted to subvert expectations. He's admitted it himself. And he got the response he was looking for. He got a very, very divided and unhappy fandom. And for that, I don't think he should be allowed to do any more Star Wars films. Although he is a very visual director, and some of those shots in The Last Jedi are absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful shots, really George Lucas-esque in their execution. So he is very visual. He is suited in a lot of ways with his visual style to Star Wars, but it's just too much of a risk, I think, with the state of the fandom at the moment. So I would like to see Rian stepping away from this, really, and we go with the Game of Thrones guys. That's what I'm personally hoping we'll see. But it sounds like Kathy wants to keep Rian on board. But whether he's going to have the Game of Thrones Benioff and Weiss duo overseeing what he's doing, we shall see. Right, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think to Rian Johnson's coming work? What do you think to Benioff and Weiss work? What do you think to Kathleen Kennedy's overall plan for Star Wars for the next 10 years? Let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back with new Star Wars content very, very soon. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.